Hello, welcome to my channel. How you doing? So for all you new, my name is Amy, and we're gonna have some real talk. I've heard some really interesting things these last couple days, and I'm not exactly sure what to think, but I know one thing. Either one, I'm probably not gonna do. So the first thing I heard was implanting a chip into your hand or your wrist for your credit card. Now, I'm not exactly sure, but does that mean if you have more than one credit card, you're going to have more than one chip implanted into your hand or your wrist? And um, the swiping, and I heard something so your card doesn't get stolen. Well, I rather have my fingers and I rather have my hand. So I rather have a piece of plastic stolen from me than my own hand. So I actually heard this, and I'm not sure if this is something they're really going to try to do, or, I mean, there are people that might want to do this, but for me, absolutely not. And then here we go. I thought that was out of control. But you know what's funny? I was telling I was telling Eric that, yeah, watch, they're going to want to implant something into us. So, the wrist and the credit card chip in the wrist, I thought was pretty interesting. And now, today, I heard a chip in your brain as your computer. Now, absolutely not. I will never do that. And is this stuff really going to happen? I do believe it's going to actually happen. But imagine you accidentally have a conversation with your best friend that you just don't want anybody to talk about, whatever it may be. And you say something like, um, you're sending somebody to the store, and it sends your conversation to your entire family or your social media. I mean, you're the computer, right? So, what's going to trigger your computer to work? And is it going to constantly read your thoughts? That's another thing that really interests me. I can't believe I'm saying these things. Are they really going to do this? So, if they really are, somebody else knows that this is something they've been working on, please leave it in the comments. Uh-huh. Yeah, so that's where I'm staying with those two topics. Absolutely not. I will not do it. I will keep my piece of plastic and I will keep my computer in a device, not myself. So I want to get serious. This is a topic I've been wanting to talk about for a while because it relates to myself and I do understand. I completely understand and I want to help others too. Because if you haven't been in a situation, you know yourself. If something's happened to you, it hasn't happened to someone else. Um, they don't understand. So I do understand. And this is being a foster child. Now, it's very hard. It's very hard to be a foster child. And to start to think is they're in state's care for a reason. They've been hurt for whatever reason that may be. And they're, they're hurt and they're alone. That's the worst thing. You're on your own. Yeah, you have workers, you have guardians, you have whatever, lawyers, judges, but they're not, you're on your own. Yes, you go into foster homes, but I'm going to give you an example on this one. Now, going into foster homes, it's like if you meet your boyfriend or girlfriend's family for the first time at some real big event, you haven't met anybody, that weird, odd feeling that you get, try having that feeling 2 to 3 times in a month or more. It really is hard because some homes they'll say, "You can call me mom and dad." I I myself, I hated that. I will not call you mom and dad. I absolutely wouldn't. And that's just the way it was. Even when I was adopted, I really didn't call them by mom and dad either. I actually called them their names for the longest time because you're not really their child and you're not their family, and you have been in many families. So and they've had many kids. So they've done the ropes, they've said the same things to how many other kids they've had in their home. And there's homes that I went into, and I'm not saying they're like this anymore. And I'm not saying that all foster parents are bad, because I'll tell you one thing, there's more good foster parents than there are bad. There are definitely more good foster parents. They absolutely intend the right for these children. They really do. The only situation is they want to understand and they try, I think, too hard sometimes, and they can smother a child, and that's annoying. We do not want to talk about why we're in custody at all. We have lawyers, judges, guardians, social workers, therapists all the time nagging, talking about it. We don't want to be asked in every single home you go into. So, what happened? If it's something a child wants to tell you, eventually in time they will. But they're trying to move forward, not backwards. So, in order to move forward, they don't want to talk about or think about what's happened to them, because that can trigger the anxiety, the depression, and a lot of children react in different ways. Some lash out. I've been in so many homes with different other foster children, and some would really do some. It was their way. They didn't know how to cope. And it was their way they believed that they could get attention. And instead of somebody understanding that in some of these homes, they would just push them away, call the state, say they can't take care of them, and send them somewhere else. And the same thing would happen. I've seen it so many times. That must have been hard, because those kids, as myself, were up for adoption, but I can almost guarantee they didn't or never were adopted. And that's pretty sad, because it's not their fault they were in care in the first place. That's one thing I think a lot lose sight of, is they're not looking at the fact that these children are hurting inside. And that can be a really terrible thing for a child to be alone and have no one to understand, because they are alone. They are on their own. Yes, there's people around them. All the time there's people around them. But is there anybody there that they can actually trust, talk to, and tell everything to, that's the same person all the time? Those with mother and fathers, if you're in need or you're scared when you're young, your mom and dad are right there. You can go to them, you know you can, and they will fix it. But when you don't have that, you can't get it fixed. You have to learn to fix it yourself. So please, for those foster parents out there that are listening, when you get a kid, try to make them feel as comfortable as you can. And if they want to talk about it, let them do it on their own. Don't push them. Because I've seen that a couple times with this one boy that we had in my adopted home. He pushed. And I actually have a gash on the front of my leg because he, with his temper, attacked my neighbor's son. And I was babysitting, and Yeah, he broke the door and split my leg open. So this kid had problems. He was hurt. And he, instead of. All right, this one's over. See you soon.